Everybody, this is Emma Popo once again bringing you another brand new video, and in today's video I am going to continue reading the short story titled The Loop. So this is going to be the third episode, so if you haven't checked out the other episodes you can go back and check it out later, but since we are going forward so quickly I will just do a little recap so that you can watch this and go back later and still have a little bit of context. So where we stopped, Crystalline escaped from Bridge Cottage and Miss Darkheart went after her, and Ina is surprised by the whole occurrence and she confronts Legolas about it, and then Legolas has told the girls to continue knitting and has just brushed off the issue, and Ina is suspiciously walking after Legolas to find out anything he can about all that is going on. So I am going to jump right into the story. Oh, come on, crazy girl, cut it out. We better start knitting or you know what will happen, Molly said. I think Crystaline's right, Molly, and if she really is, it changes everything, our entire lives, crazy girl said in a whisper, still listening. Molly looked at her cynically. She made zero sense. Hey, what? Ina cut her off. Shush, I can hear something. The girls went dead silent and Ina started to pick up a few words from the other side. They know. They found it out. I'm afraid I won't be able to do that. The girls, they'll try, and you know what will happen to you, madam, if they escape. I'll make sure they don't. But hurry back, I can't watch them alone. Especially that crazy girl. She seems to know so much. The conversation ended. It seemed as though Legolas had just finished communicating with Mrs. Darkheart. From what Ina could pick up, something was being hidden. Escape? Was what she was suspecting true? Were there worlds away, prisoners who were oblivious of their state? She turned and left the door. She walked zombie-like to her bed and sat down. She was still trying to grasp everything. She wished Crystalline had told her more instead of leaving her in this ditch. Who are they? Who were they? Who are we? She heard herself say. The words slipped out of her mouth like glue. She felt incomplete, like an imbecile, a fool. Baby followed her and sat beside her. Are you okay? She said. No, Ina said. There is something you all must know. The girls sat with Ina as she told them all that Crystalline had told her the night before, and that she probably had escaped back to her world. As Ina explained, the girls became as stunned as Ina was. Molly kept asking, are you sure? They all couldn't believe it. When Ina finished telling them what happened, they could only sit and stare into space as if it held the answers. What do we do now? Mommy asked. Escape, that was all Crystalline was talking about, Ina said. I wonder what our worlds are really like, Tiny Baby said, looking astonished by the very idea. Oh, come on, Ina, Molly said, standing up from her bed. Escape to where? We are not even sure this girl is right. Where could we escape to? We don't know anywhere apart from Bridge Cottage. I say we stay here. We have been here all this while and nothing happened. Ina looked at her. I really don't know what is what anymore, but Molly, she sighed. I don't know. I know what to do. I'll go back to work so Miss Darkheart won't throw a fit. You know how she is when it comes to the blankets. And she already seemed so angry, Molly said, walking to the middle of the cottage and sitting down. She started to knit and Mommy and Baby joined her. She's right, you know, Ina, Mommy said as she knitted. It's better we don't get into more trouble with you screaming at Legolas like that earlier. Crazy girl watched the girls knit for a while and then she finally decided to join them. Things were just so complicated and she supposed that there was no use fighting what was. She sat with the girls and knitted absent-mindedly. Her thoughts were worlds away. The girls had finished their day's work and they sat on the table eating dinner. Legolas watched the girls closely. He stood opposite Ina, glaring at her. She paid no mind to him though. She was exhausted from trying to comprehend everything. Suddenly there was a crash at the door and in came Miss Darkheart along with a ruffled Crystalline. Crystalline was wailing, struggling and screaming, "Let me go!" Ina stood up involuntarily, a spur of heroism, and as she stood, Miss Darkheart's gaze brought her back to her seat. The power the woman had over Ina made her to hate herself. No matter how hard she tried, this woman controlled her. It was almost impossible to escape from her control. The distressed girl screamed as Miss Darker dragged her effortlessly to her room. Ina stared in her eyes and saw a sea of sadness which she could understand, even though she did not understand anything else in the world. Somehow she connected to this girl's heartbreak. She felt feelings she had never felt and was transported to a world which she had never been. Maybe she was being crazy, but she felt that she had to do something. But she was in Miss Darker's hands, imprisoned. As the girl almost entered the room, she broke free from the woman's grip and ran to Ina. Wide-eyed and terrified, she grabbed Ina and said, "If you can't save me, save yourselves. She's going to kill me, but you can escape. You just need to cross the bridge and go on from there. There is help on the other side. Try to get to Diamond Rock. That's the only way out of the loop." Mrs. Darkheart went back for Crystalline without a word. She grabbed the girl by the arm. Only streams of tears would flow down Crystaline's face as she was taken back into the room. Somehow, she knew that she wouldn't come back out. And as Miss Darkheart entered the room with her prey, Legolas followed her master robotically and slammed the door shut behind her. The girls were all shocked. Somehow, Ina was supposed to have the answers. They all looked at her. Ina stood up and rushed towards the door to Miss Darkheart's room. She turned the knob slowly and the door opened small enough to peek her head through. She knew that she wanted to save Crystalline, but she didn't know if she had what it took to pull it off. She stood, second-guessing herself. What was she planning to do? She ended up peering into the room. It was dark like Miss Darkheart herself, but she could pick out three figures. One crouched in a metal cage like a prey awaiting its predator, and the other two stood looking at her. Ina could hear voices. Crystalline only whimpered, "Oh no, no, please." She could hear that the girl was the one in the cage. "I did a good job looking after the girls, didn't I?" Legolas said happily. Oh my god, this character. Mrs. Darkheart grunted. "No, to do away with this one. She could have influenced the girls." "What are you going to do to her?" Legolas said, sounding excited. "I will simply erase her." Ina saw the figure, which she guessed was Miss Darkheart, stretch a rod at the whimpering creature. The creature begged. It cried louder, but there was no mercy. What about the girls? How would they react to all this? Who knows what she has told Ina? She heard Legolas ask. There was an explosion sound, but no spark of light in the darkness, and the cowering creature fell flat, lifeless. Pause for effects. "They will forget, and if they don't, I'll erase them too," Miss Darkheart said coldly. Ina backed away in horror. Her heart beat so fast that she thought it would explode. The other girls asked her questions with their eyes, but she ran past them to the corner of the cottage and leaned on the broken window, staring at the nothingness beyond. How could she forget what she had just seen? She had watched as Crystalline was murdered but could do nothing. Now Crystalline was dead. She couldn't save her. It hurt so much that she could not even try. Her heart felt torn and she hugged herself, trying to comfort herself, but to no avail. Her eyes felt hot, and before she knew it, something wet ran down her face. Oh, she's so alien to crying. Something wet ran down her face. She felt a pit in the bottom of her stomach, and this strange feeling gave her a resolve. She decided they definitely had to escape. To break Miss Darkheart's spell upon them. Since she couldn't save Crystalline, she had to try to save herself and the other girls. If she didn't, the woman would eventually kill them too. For the following days, patience was much more than a virtue to Crazy Girl. It was a necessity. She knew that Miss Darkheart watched them keenly, for the woman was aware that the girls were undeniably trying to escape. Knowing this, Ina and the girls tried their best to act normal. Everything did seem normal to the eyes. The circle of their lives continued to spin. It was as though Crystalline had never even come into their life. No one ever mentioned the issue, as if it never happened, but in every girl's heart hid potent emotions: fear, denial, anxiety. Whether they liked it or not, whether they chose to believe or not, the hope of a life was in escaping. The realization that their lives here were not lives at all, but a seal, a prison carved deeper into their hearts, and they knew that time was ticking until their exodus. Ina had planned with the girls that their escape would be when Miss Darkheart left for Bridge Cottage next. She had narrated what she saw in Miss Daka's room that night to the girl several days after she had witnessed the cruelty, and Ina's account convinced them immediately. They had to escape. They were all afraid. Fear of what Miss Dakat would do to them if their escape was unsuccessful, and fear of what would happen if they stayed in Bridge Cottage any longer. After Crystaline's death, Miss Daka's aura seemed to grow even darker. The terror increased, and each day they felt like the darkness was waiting to swallow them. A few days after the incident, the 4 girls gathered late at night to have a meeting. Baby was uneasy and clung to Mommy. Molly fidgeted, and Ina whispered. So that is where I'm going to stop for today's reading. And I think things are starting to move forward. Like earlier in the other editions, I realized that my writing was lingering on stuff and just dwelling on unnecessary details, but now I can see that things are starting to move on. There is a lot of action, apart from the fact that it's kind of cringy. There is a enjoyable quality to the whole story. Okay, so that is all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. I want to try to make the videos longer, because like every time I read it, I read only a couple of pages, and since it's 37 pages, if I read just 2 pages, like I think 15 episodes would be too long, and like it will be hard to catch up. So I want to start reading more of the story here, and I want to try and make it like maybe 20 episodes. I want to try to make it like 20 minutes. I don't know if that would be too much watch time for you guys to manage, so just go down to the comments below and leave your opinion. Should I make it longer? Should I make it shorter? What should I do? What should I not do? Thank you all for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.